I'm back for another Tim talk, and it's going to be a Tim story. It's going to lead to some deep thought, hopefully. I'm going to call this one The Cow That Gave Her Life for Me. The Cow That Gave Her Life for Me. Early on, when I moved up here to the mountains from Santa Cruz, California, I was raised partially on my grandfather's farm in Montana, Ronan, Montana. I'd been around farm animals my whole life. I've hunted a lot of my younger years. I fished my whole life. I've killed animals for food, and I'm very conscious of how factory farming and how horrible that is in the world we live in. How animals are raised for food with no respect and tortured. That's another story, but I'm very aware of it. I've tried to shop in a way where I buy food, animals who have at least been able to be raised in a good way on a farm out in the open, so forth. But there's always room for growth and learning, boy. And it is one of those crazy dilemmas we face where we have to eat things to live. And everything else in the world does that on our earth. Eats to live. Something else. We're all eating each other in some way. And you might say, well, then just eat plants. But plants, they have their own consciousness too. So it's a dilemma. We have to eat to live. We're not like, I used to hear growing up as a Catholic about the breatharian nuns in Central Europe, and they lived off air alone. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I believe anything's possible, so heck. There are no limits. Maybe that was the case. But for me, I need food to eat. And I still love to eat meat sometimes. And so when I first moved up here, my neighbor was raising cows, and I thought, well, that's the best way. If we're going to get our meat, let's get it from a neighbor where a cow got raised out in the open grasslands in a good, loving, caring way with freedom. So, and I thought it was important that I kill that cow, the first one. And so he agreed. And so every day I would go over and hang out with this cow. And she became my friend. Dangerous when you're going to kill an animal for food. She became my friend, and she'd come to see me every day, and we'd hang out. And I was young and idealistic, and I thought that would be really a good way to do it before I killed her and then ate her. And in the end, I think it was a good way, but it was very painful. And so the day that I was going to kill her, I was going to shoot her in the head with a .22 pistol. Now, she would die instantaneously. No pain, or almost none. But I had to do it, right? So as I walked over there, I tried to put myself in a space where I was going to be calming and loving and do it in a beautiful way. And I'd seen it done by others in beautiful ways before, so I knew how to do it. And I go over there, and she runs. She hadn't done that at all before. She knew. When we talk about the spirit that moves through all things, that line of communication that we all connect to, she knew that that day was a different day, and it wasn't the day she was going to end up living. And she ran from me. So that threw me through kind of a crazy moment. But I finally was able to go out and bring her in. And I looked her in the eye and I shot her. And she died. And man, did I cry. Whew. And then I had a portable butcher guy come. And he drove up and he gutted her and cleaned her and cut her into pieces of meat. And then we took her and we hung her and the butcher shop and let the meat age. And when I ate her, it was probably the best meat I'd ever eaten because of the relationship I'd had with her. And if she had to die, she sure died at the hands of someone who loved her. But that's one of those situations where there's not necessarily a good answer. You know, somebody could say, well, you just shouldn't have killed her, right? I don't know if it's that simple. Would it have been better off for me to go buy meat at the store, or should I just not buy meat at all? And that's all of that is a bigger conversation, and well, definitely worthy of having that conversation. But to keep it here on this Tim Talk on a personal level, it's that remarkable part of the story to me is how she knew. And you know, I related. I think about dogs. We have dogs, lots of dogs, and we love our dogs. And there was a guy who did a study once where he put hidden cameras. And you know how dogs, they know when you get home, they get excited if they're in the house. Well, this guy was able to see when he was coming home, even 5 miles away, when he was coming home, his energy was coming home. The dogs knew, and they got excited and waited by the door. So there's this lesson here. Animals are such pure beings. They don't have the baggage of the remarkable brain we have that carries so much knowledge, but also so much just garbage too, that gets in the way of that pureness within us. Dogs have that pureness. That cow had that pureness. In that talk before I did, you might have heard it, about the eagle who found us and we helped her. That pureness. That's something we want to tap into in nature and in our lives. That's the most honest, direct kind of communication there is. And I call it the spirit that moves through all things. It's that line of communication that's always available for us. It's on a different level than the physical. And animals are masters of it, if for no other reason, because that's how they live. They have it. Another way to look at it is our intuitive side, but it's not just intuition, it's the deeper intuition. Another word we use sometimes here in the school is inner vision. It's you have your 5 senses, your basic 5 senses, taste, seeing, hearing, touch, so forth. And then you go to the intuitive, the inner vision side. And that takes us to another level of life. And that's where it all happens, right? And that cow knew that day. Hope.